Hello, YouTube land. This is Brent Son coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. I have allergy issues today, so bear with me. Today we have a story from a game warden, and his name is JT, and he is from the Northwest. And that's basically what I told him he should do. That's enough information so he doesn't lose his job. Um, we kind of talked about it beforehand, and very interesting stuff. Bigfoot encounters, state park encounters, missing person encounters. He shot the one, and he also has a canine that he has with him most of the time. Very interesting stories. So I think you're going to enjoy this. If anyone out there has a story that they would like to share on Brenton Son Mysteries to Search, you can contact me at brentonson@gmail.com. Give a brief description and uh, contact information, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And maybe you can come on and share something. If anyone would like to contribute to help me with this channel, I still need some contributions through the rest of this month, and I appreciate them. I can tell you that. You can go to the link in the description. It's a PayPal Me link. Click it. It's super easy to use. And thank you all who have helped in the past. Um, I appreciate every one of you very much. And we will be announcing some of the flashlight winners here soon. I think I'm going to give away 3 of them. Um, so tomorrow, I think I'm going to have a Dogman story. The next video is going to be a Dogman story, and I think we'll do another drawing from that. You comment, and the comments will be the drawing, basically. A name picked from that, and we'll give the second one, and then we'll have one more to do before the 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around in there. I'll announce who wins. But let's just go listen to JT and a game warden from the Northwest, and hear these fascinating stories that he has with Bigfoot. Okay, JT, I'd like for you to give an introduction to yourself, and then we will get into your story, if you would.
All right. Well, I go by JT. I'm a game warden by profession, and I'm in the Northwest United States.
Okay. And how long have you been a game warden or in that profession?
I've been a game warden for 3 years. I was a United States Marine before that.
Okay, cool. So you definitely got some training and observation and specialized skills, anyway, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay. When you first started having your encounters, can you tell us where around about where you were having these encounters, what the land was like, and what have you?
The land was mountains, high elevation.
Okay. Well, I guess if you want to, you've had several encounters. Just tell us about your first encounter.
All right, my first encounter. Well, I'll start by saying I've hunted and fished and camped my whole life, been outdoors, and I was a firm non-believer because I never seen anything and I heard stories all my life, and I just said, "Oh yes, for sure, you say so." But it was about my first year out as a warden here and where I'm at now, and I was tracking out some traps that were laid out by poachers for deer, leg traps, and also a couple wire traps that were set out. I was going to take them down that someone reported to us. And I also have a canine with me, and that's my partner. Me and him went out and hiked about, I'd say, a good 8 miles back into the mountains. I heard what sounded like a deer in distress, so I started headed towards north, which sounded like where it came from. And as I got close, I looked to be what I thought was a bear, bent over something, and I was about 200 yards from it at this time. And my dog is, of course, you know, we train them to attack on command. They're trained with other animal life, you know, to handle mountain lion, bear. They don't back down.
Right.
And I've never had my dog back down from anything. As we approach, he starts to cry and whimper, and I've never seen him do that. And he's trying to pull me away, and that in itself was strange to me. I've never, you know, seen my partner act like that. He's never done that before. And so I get, you know, petting him, trying to get him calm, and I start getting him to go a little bit, but he's hesitant. And so as we got closer, I pulled out my rifle and I put 2 rounds close to the bear, because that usually will run them off. They don't like the rifles. They usually will go like bear, not actually that aggressive, and not usually for a confrontation. And after, you know, I fired the rounds close, not hitting the bear, what I thought was a bear. It turned, and when I got to look at the structure of the body and the face, I said, this isn't a bear. My mind's racing. I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at. And it starts to make a low growl that sounded real deep in the throat. And then it got louder. At this time, it was still on, I'd say, kind of all fours bent over. And my mind's racing to try to figure out what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing, and it's slowly starting to come my way aggressively, and I'm not sure at this point what I'm looking at. And so my first thought is to yell. Maybe some person in a suit that's lost their mind. I don't know. I've never seen this before. I don't know what this creature is. And so I'm yelling for them to stop, because it's like, this is a person. I'm going to yell stop. Put your hands up. This thing keeps coming, and it stands up and starts to move down the hill towards me. And so I fired 2 shots from my 30-06 rifle that I had with me at its chest. I've never missed in my life. I know I hit it. It fell to the ground. Made some, you know, it was in pain. It made a noise like it was hurt, and it didn't move for a minute. And at this point, still about 200 yards out from it, I start going towards it. I call over the radio that I've shot a bear, and I get back that someone's coming out to give me a hand, because we have to pull teeth and record the kill. And as I get about 100 yards closer to it, it gets up, reaches down, and grabs what's left of the deer carcass, yanks it, and the deer had its leg caught in a leg trap, and the leg just detaches from the deer. It just had that much strength. It pulled it off like it was nothing. Put it under an arm and ran the other way with about 100, maybe 110-pound deer under its arm. I'm totally lost at this point. I fought in war. I've done a lot of things and seen a lot of things in my life, but at this point I'm scared. My dog's scared, and I don't know what I'm seeing, what just happened. I stay. Another warden comes out. I report what has happened. I showed where there was blood. I lost the blood trail. My dog would not go anywhere near where this creature took off in the direction it went. He would not follow. And
so when this thing was coming towards you, it was bringing the deer along with it?
No, it was coming towards me at first. No, it left the carcass. It was coming towards me aggressively after I fired the shot.
Right.
The only thing I'm thinking, maybe after I fired the shots, it knew that I was there. Maybe it took it as I was trying to take its food. I'm not sure at that point. But I've had other experiences, and from the other experiences, they're very aggressive. But at that time,
so when he got up, he reached down, and you said he reached down and grabbed the deer. So did he get up and go back toward the deer and then do that, or did he bring the deer with him?
Yeah. No, he went back towards the deer, reached down. It looked male. After this, I've gone through and watched some videos and studied, especially the Patterson-Gimli film, for Patty, and you can definitely see on that video female definitions of breast and stuff. And then this one, I didn't see anything of that. I couldn't say that it was male 100%, but I see nothing as of a female. But it turned and went back, reached down and grabbed the deer carcass, and then took off in the opposite direction away from me.
So it basically didn't want to leave its kill. He was taking it with it.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the dogs, I think it's kind of amazing, because when I was down at Dale Holla and I had I didn't really know at first this Sasquatch was around it. I kept hearing trees get pushed over and limb snaps and stuff like that. And then at night, the thing was I heard something walking around the tent, but I was just thinking it was, animals or something. But I noticed that the dog, they somehow know. Usually that dog would be a barking dog, or like you said, your dog would go after something, things like that. How is it, do you think, that these dogs know that this isn't something you want to go after when it was down and it looked like a bear to you? How do you think dogs know that so quickly?
From experience, there has to be something with the scent, something they smell. It's something they fear. It's something that's got to be in the scent from these creatures. At that time, I did not smell any. A lot of people report really bad stink and, rotting meat or garbage. I didn't smell anything. Of course, with the wind at that time, it was not coming, the scent wouldn't have come to me, but of course, canine scents, way better than ours, of course. So I'm assuming whatever my partner smells, he knew something wasn't, he feared whatever that scent was. And again, these dogs are trained to handle mountain lion, bear, attack people. We have to have these dogs be there for us when we can't, if we're down and out, this is our last resort to, help us.
All right. Now, when you told the guy that came to help you with, the kill, what did you tell him it was when you explained it?
I went through my whole report with him. I gave him, what I wrote down in my report. I told him the exact account I just gave to you, and I told him I do not know what this was. I said, as far as me, it was an unidentified creature. And he's an older warden. He's been in this field for quite some time, and his advice to me was not to write this down. Do not put this in paper. Don't turn it in. And he says, you're not going to like what happens. And I said, this is what happened. I'm going to put down what happened. I said, I shot at something, hit something. And I said, this is not an animal I know that is out here. I said, so I'm going to report it because this is my job. And he just said, you're not going to like what happens, the backlash. And I did get bad backlash from the report I gave. And some other issues happened from my report, but I won't get into that.
Do you kind of now maybe kind of understand that it probably is best for to say it was a bear, because it I think it kind of puts the game warden, whatever you call, the officers, in a kind of a predicament with what they would do publicly, trying to announce this to the general public. So do you think maybe it is a better idea just to let people discover this stuff themselves, or do you think that they should be telling people, the general public, and trying to deal with whatever would be the case, what would ever happen? Well, I mean, what's your opinion on that?
To be honest with you, I'm split on my opinion. As a hunter, avid camper, I'm a father, single father, 3 children. I'd take them camping and going out hunting with me, and I want them, anyone that goes out into the wilderness, first thing you got to know, out there, we don't rule, we're part of the food chain, and but you need to know your surroundings, you need to know what's out there and what can be there and what dangers are involved when you go out. But at the other end of the spectrum for me, if you tell people what you've seen, and then if, per se, I had actually killed this creature and it was, brought in, and, the world has been proved, okay, this is the body, here's your proof. I think a lot of people would lose their lives, because you have a lot of stupid hunters and guys that like to go drink and then go out in the woods and hunt, and they're going to think, wow, this is a trophy. And these things are very dangerous, and with the other experiences I've had, I cannot track them. They move very, very well at night. Night vision is outstanding. They watch you more than you'll ever know that they're there, unless they want you to know. I think the rare times that people have had encounters, maybe it was this animal was preoccupied, like with my first encounter, or maybe young were involved and they had no choice. But I'm not real sure, if it would be good for it to be proven real, because these things are very dangerous and very, very aggressive.
I mean, I could kind of see how there might be a serious economic ramification for just all of a sudden releasing that information. Like I was saying, that the land between the lakes, I know that it makes, I thought they said it made like $2 billion a year. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it was 2 million. I thought they said billion. But it's a huge area, and there's many, many campgrounds. It seemed like there was like 100 different type of campgrounds. Some that have no power, some have a few things like a plug or two, and some that have water, and RVs, and all kinds of different places for tourists to go. But if they knew that dogmen were there and knew about the beast of LBL on the northern end, being kind of bad, and Bigfoot and stuff like that, I'm wondering if people would go. And logging industries, what would happen with that? Would they start saying you can't log here, you can't log there? I mean, just across the board, it makes me wonder how much of an economic effect there would be. So it would have to be, I think, managed well to, reveal it to the general public. But that's that's a big long debate, I guess. But
yeah, no, I agree with you, and it probably would affect the economy for campgrounds and so forth. It's proven that, yes, there's these creatures, Sasquatch, these animals out there that we don't know much about, but from what accounts are there, and the true ones, these things are dangerous, they're big, they're strong. Right. And if you're going out there, and a lot of times you get a lot of these campers that go out, especially from the city, that just want to have a little bit of outdoors. They do not take anything to arm themselves. They don't go with any weapons or anything for just in case. And me personally, I don't think that's a good idea, not just because of my experience, but mountain lion, coyote, bear, especially if they're wounded and they can't hunt their normal prey, we're easy to take down. And if they're hungry and they know we're there, it's going to be something they're going to say, I'm starving, I need to eat. And it's better to have something just in case than not have anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of I kind of get it why it's not acknowledged, but I kind of think that it's not good too, because there's no way I would go camping by myself in some areas at least, and without a weapon. And even with a weapon, I don't know if I'd go by myself or not, knowing what I know now. But anyway, let's go on to your next encounter, I guess, because we could go on all day about that subject.
I guess that's true. Well, my next encounter was on my own property. I have a home, and I have about 500 acres. About 150 is cleared. I have cattle and horses out. And my next encounter was I had lost 4 calves, and within a month, they were pretty consistently just, I lost 4. And my fences were fine. They didn't get out. No one broke in and stole my cattle. I mean, they were just, I found blood, but I couldn't follow it for very far, and I couldn't find my calves. So I started putting out cameras as well, trying to see maybe if, I had mountain lion, bear, something coming in, but my calves that I lost were big. They weren't just, young. They weren't a few months old, but they were, just about a year or so. So these are cattle that weigh a couple 100 pounds, and their mountain lion's not going to be they won't carry off a carcass that far, and neither one are big enough to carry a carcass, and just where I'm not able to find it. After I put the cameras out, I'd go out and check after I'd get off work. A couple of the trees I strapped them to were broke, snapped off, and the tree was laid over, camera was broke and smashed by the tree, and that didn't make any sense to me. And then, of course, after I had that encounter, I did a lot of research into Sasquatch, Bigfoot, all the names it goes by, and found, that tree snapping is something that is common, and then also stone throwing, things like this is common with them. So I was thinking that maybe I had a Sasquatch on my property coming in for my cattle. And so when I had the next couple days off, I actually stayed out with my cattle, no lights. My partner does come home with me, but I knew from the first encounter he's not going to do what I need him to do. And I have other dogs. I have 3 others, which are Siberian Mastiffs. They're about 180 pounds. My male's 200 pounds. These are big dogs, and I've trained them to hunt as well, and they also don't back down from bears, sadly. So I took them out with me. They won't make noise unless they're warning me. They'll growl, but they will not bark. And they started to growl. I didn't see anything, and I heard leaves, branches snapping to the east of me, I guess would be the right of me. So I got up, no light, was going by just moonlight and starlight, and headed that way. And I saw what looked to be a silhouette of a man, figure, something on 2 feet, and about maybe 50 yards behind my fence line that backed up to the woods. And it looked to be maybe 9 to 10 feet tall. This thing was massive. And as I got closer, even my 3 dogs that I have that are my personal dogs, I didn't have them leashed or anything. They started crying, and they went back towards the house. All my cattle started getting riled up, and they went towards the other end of the pen. And I was armed with a shotgun. I had slugs in it. and I was going to try to just either kill it or chase it off. And as I got closer, I heard tree snap. It sounded like somebody just took down, a good-sized tree and with the chainsaw, but no noise, just a snap, and it fell. And it broke my fence. It fell pretty close to where I was at, and then this creature took off running. I tried to go after it. It was so fast. I mean, I couldn't keep up. I found a few tracks, and then it was just like it disappeared. I couldn't find anything. I just found a few places where branches were snapped and stuff like that, but that was it.
Right.
So after that, I went back to the house, just patched the fence so cattle didn't get out. And next morning, I went back out towards where I last saw a track and last saw where it could have went. And I got about maybe 3 miles back up into the hills on my property, and I smelled a horrid rancid smell, but I couldn't see anything. And I looked up just by chance, and what was left of one of my calves was thrown over a big, thick branch about 10 feet in the air. And nothing does that in the United States. Nothing is big enough to do that as well. And after that, I lost a few more cattle, but then it stopped. I'm assuming maybe these creatures, as big as they are, maybe they migrate. They have a big range that they hunt and go through. But after that, I didn't see anything. I don't know if my presence bug, made it not come back. I don't know exactly, but I'm assuming maybe it's just it has a big range and it moved on. I don't know. I didn't have any calves left, so maybe it didn't take down any of my heifers or my bulls. So that was my second encounter.
I kind of wonder sometimes too about, you being in a game warden, about managing the population. As big as they are, if they stayed in one area, they could exhaust the resources in the area. So it makes you wonder if they were looking at the cattle, they just took the calves, but they left that breeding population so that they know that, there'll be more for an opportunity maybe at a later point. Do you think that maybe they kind of think about something like that, or they didn't want to try to take a big one?
Yeah, there's a possibility. For these, and I've had about 5 run-ins now between,
You were cutting out there.
Can you hear me?
You were cutting out some. Have you moved or something out of the area you were in?
No. Just where I'm at, I get bad service. Is this a little better?
Yeah, that's better there. Sorry about that.
Okay. That's okay. But between, what I do for work, I go a lot of places where most people don't go, and I've had some encounters, but from my experiences, I think that they don't take things that are really, really big, and they're very intelligent. And of course, you know that by how well they've been able to stay away from us and stay something as a myth, pretty much, to most. And they say, prove it to me, where's the body? And so they're highly intelligent, and they don't move through the woods like other animals. I mean, bear, mountain lion, deer, you can all there's a pattern to the way they move. And you can follow a trail for a long time for all these creatures, but these things I can't follow, I can't track. So I think it's a possibility they realize that my heifers, my bulls would be a breeding population, and they might have just said, okay, I'm going to wait till there's more calves, something smaller, something I can take with me and out of here where I can eat it without having any issue.
Right. Now these are that you've seen, the typical being the northwest, the typical patty type looking?
Yes, I would say it's yeah, I would go with what patty looked like. I would give that difference, a few different hair colorations, but pretty much that almost apish look. I've seen some other videos where they look totally different. And of course, this species, if where all they are, people report them different terrain, different places, they're going to have a little bit of variation. So I would definitely say that mine are what you'd see from a patty video, besides maybe a little bit different in variation on the color of the fur.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It probably is in that region, is that particular type. There might be some others, but that's mainly what you hear about in that area. Now, I guess we'll move on to the next account, if you would.
Okay, the next account is where I probably actually had the most issue, where this particular Bigfoot or specimen, if you will, I saw this one multiple times. Won't give any names, but someone I know that lives about 30 miles from me, he had bought a property quite a ways back into the woods where this home has, I didn't know it until he bought it, but has been moved in and moved out of several times, and his realtor would not give an explanation to why people just move in real quick and they left. And there was some damage to the outside of the home, but he didn't think nothing of it when he moved in. And one day he gave me a call, and he said that his daughter was playing in the living room one night, and she saw a big monster in the window. And he says, I know you probably don't believe me, but he says, I'm new to the area here. Would you come out and maybe, look around and see if there's anything, going on here? And I was at work, so I took it as a call, just a report of an animal too close to home. We can go out and do that without any, we don't have to have a warrant.
Yeah.
I found tracks around the home. There was even on the back side of the home it looked like something had been peeing all over the back side of the home. And it stunk of urine, that real strong, almost a musk to it, like it was a male marking its territory. I found what looked like Sasquatch tracks after my last report and getting, excuse the language, my ass chewed out for writing what I put in there. I didn't report anything of what tracks I saw, what I thought, the creature was or what the problem was there. So I told him after I looked around, I told him what I thought it was, and that he would, needs to keep an eye out and, definitely to keep his child indoors at night, and he's keep an eye on her even when, she's outside playing during the day. And that night he called me about midnight, and he said something was throwing things at the home. He said he didn't know what was going on. He was scared. His daughter was scared, and his wife was scared, and they were huddled up in the room upstairs in the master bedroom. He was armed, but he was scared. He called me. I went out, and I saw huge rocks on the top of the roof. I didn't see any, there was nothing being thrown when I got there. I couldn't find anything that night, but there was holes. It actually threw stones that were big enough to put, it actually went through the roof, and there were holes through the roof from what it threw. Just to cut it, this went off a while, cut a little bit short here. So after that, I went out on nights off, and I stayed out there with him, and when I found more tracks, it looked like a left foot. Something was wrong with it. The print was way different than the right. Maybe it damaged it. I don't know how, but it looked like something was severely wrong. with that left print, like that foot was badly injured. And it kept coming back to his house. It kept throwing things, and it would actually go look through the windows. It broke a few windows by throwing things. And we weren't able to ever get a shot off at night. I mean, we had spotlights and the way it moved so quickly, but the few times we did get a glimpse of it, it had a limp to it. So I'm assuming something was wrong with the foot, but, you know, I can't give you anything more than that. But he ended up having to move because it didn't stop, and there was nothing we can do. It just kept coming back, and it, thank the Lord, never went in the house, and they didn't get hurt. But, you know, they had to bought this land in this house, and he had to leave because it just didn't stop. It wasn't every night, but it was consistently coming back and coming back.
Right.
And his little girl has, she's, you know, it affected her so badly. She has to see help now because she cries at night. She wakes up screaming because of what she saw.
Yeah, I bet. Huh. Was it, you said it was urinating on the back of the house?
Yes, towards the back of the house, which was, that backed up into the hills, which was the most forested area.
Was it looking in the windows from that side of the house, or was the rock throwing?
Yes, there was on this particular home, it had a large living room. It was it would stretch from the side to the very back end of the home. There was windows back there, and then on the side of the home. And he told me, and his daughter reported seeing it in the windows at the back of the home, and then on the side, it broke the windows at the back of the home by throwing pretty large rocks through. But that's where they seen where his daughter and him have. It would. He said even a few nights he actually seen it where it was right at the glass. It was, if it wanted, he said it would have just came. It could have came right in because it was right next to it. He said you could even see the breath from it on the glass, just staring in at his daughter, and when she would be in there playing.
Yeah, that's very disturbing. You know, time to move. That, or you know, in a way, I don't know about trying to shoot him because you don't know how many more there might be. You know, sometimes that doesn't go so good.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually a firm believer that I think they go almost in a family group. I've actually, my third encounter, I actually seen 3 together. So I believe they probably, when you see one, there's probably more not too far off.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you know, when my first encounter, I know I hit it, found blood, and I shot it with a 30-06, and that, if it died, I didn't find it, but it got up and was able to get away from me, run after a shot from a 30-06, and I believe I hit it between chest and stomach is probably where my round hit.
Good.
So I don't know what caliber would take to, or how many shots from a decent caliber it would take to bring them down.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that they've been. I know of the one case anyway where one was killed with a 30-06 supposedly. I mean, that's what was told, but it was a shot that kind of dropped it like you did, and then a headshot, follow-up headshot. I don't care how big something is, you shoot it in the head, it's going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that is a good point. But if it's as fast as they are, if they're not holding still, and unless you have training and you're able to hit on the move, it's hard to hit that head.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. I don't think you could go out in the woods and kill a Sasquatch by going out and trying to track it and shoot it. I just don't believe you can do it. You know, some people worry about the, you know, that people going out and doing it. Maybe you could if you went in a big group and you were able to pinpoint where they are and you were to, you know, somehow kind of overwhelm them and flank them and things like that. I don't know. But it would be tough, man. You would probably lose some guys because they're fast and
Yeah, I would.
they're strong, man. I've known of cases where they had a big alpha male that broke a tree, reached up and broke a tree that was around 12, 13 inches in diameter and broke it off like 9 foot in the air. You know, I mean, that's an
Yeah,
incredible amount of strength. It's almost unbelievable. Um,
yeah.
but they
That
say that,
amount of strength that I've seen that.
yeah, in like I know in apes, I can't remember exactly now, but the strength ratio per pound compared to a human is something like 5 to 7 times the strength per pound. You know what I'm saying? And if you got something that weighs 800 to 1,000 pounds, is 10 foot tall, you know, that's that's a lot of strength. And
Yeah, it's extreme, and
yeah,
I don't know if I would say that, apish is the look. What I've seen, I'd say apish, but I'm a God-fearing man. I mean, I honestly don't believe you can go to war and do what you have to do there and see what you have to see and not believe there's somebody up above. But I have a hard time believing that these things are made by the Lord. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but
right,
I just have a
yeah,
hard time believing that.
yeah. I mean, my opinion is, I believe they're flesh and blood and they live out in the woods, but they're too human-like to say that they're just totally ape. So therefore,
Yeah,
you would have this problem if you are a Christian. It leaves you with the problem that something is walking around that has the likeness and image of God, because we're made in the likeness and the image of God. So if something's got human qualities to that degree with intelligence, and a lot of people say that they sometimes look very much human in the face with a lot of hair, you know, and huge.
yeah,
So you have this likeness and image issue that you have to somehow resolve, and that's what makes me think that there's somehow a Nephilim factor to it, which Israel killed Nephilim. They were flesh and they were blood beings, you know, just but a hybrid. And I mean, but that's my
yeah,
opinion. I don't have a specimen that I can show people, but too many reports of the intelligence factor and the human-like characteristics, language. Animals operate more in an animal instinctual type of way. It wouldn't be something that you couldn't ever figure out and track. Even though
exactly.
some animals are hard to find, but humans have been able to figure that out and find them. And if they discover that they exist, we've been able to figure it out and have dominion kind of over it. But a Sasquatch has not been that way. And I may have some very, very interesting stuff coming soon, if this really comes through, and I believe that it will. And a couple different families from different parts of the United States, basically, there's going to be some information released that is going to be quite profound. I'm telling you, and I'm really hoping this happens. And permission's been given to release the information, and it should be very interesting. And that's about all I can say at the moment. I don't really want to mess this up, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just telling you,
Oh,
you
I
wait.
understand that.
It's going to be pretty cool. It'll be very interesting to hear the stuff, and then people can form their own opinions at that point. But,
Yeah.
so okay, let's just move on to your next encounter, if you would.
All right. I do have some photo and video from my GoPro that I usually carry with me when I'm out. At this time, I'm not willing to share it yet. mostly for fear of recognition of the area, and then it leading back to me. I don't want. I love my job. I mean, I love doing what I do. I love helping. I love protecting wildlife, making sure it's there for future generations, and I don't want to give these photos and video, and it makes me where I lose my job. I'm not willing to risk that yet.
Right.
Or I would gladly have forwarded it to you.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to risk your job, and we can always talk private. And I got pictures that I can't release, and I won't, because I was asked not to, and I don't want to break that trust, because then they wouldn't trust me ever again if they get anything else really cool, you know. But
yeah,
and yeah, so. And I'm sure other people, you know, that are out there doing the, you know, thing like I do, have got things like that similar, you know. So, you know, sometimes, you know, people like me and maybe another person from the BFRO in Kentucky here might share, you know, without emailing and things like that. Say, hey, you want to check this out? And they'll show me something they got, that kind of thing. But you don't want to start putting it on the, you know, internet and or something, because, you know, I just don't want to put trust into anyone too much, because if something happened, maybe someone stole it from them, then it would make me look bad.
Yes, I understand that completely.
All right, well, let's go to the next one.
The next one, I won't give the name, but it's a national park, you know, government land protected, but, you know, it's camping grounds. It's visited by a lot of people a year. It's actually a place that's covered in the book Missing 411. I don't know if you read that. I've actually talked to quite extensively with the gentleman that wrote and, you know, did a lot of the research for that book. But anyways, we had a missing person report, and search and rescue had come out, and me and about 5 other wardens had gone out. And this one's a little close to the heart. I can't give a lot of details on this because it is still an open case. But a child went missing. We searched. He went missing with family. His family was close. There was about 6 people in the group. They were on a trail that is well marked and well traveled. They said that he just disappeared. They didn't know where he went. And after about an hour of searching, we opened up the search radius further out. That was strange, because this child at his age size shouldn't have been able to get this far in the time that he had gone missing. And me and 2 wardens stayed pretty close together. We were spread out, but we're still an eye shot of each other. And we heard this loud scream, yell, the vocals from these creatures. I never heard anything that can make the pitches and the noise they can, in volumes they hit. I don't know anything else in the world that can do this. And this noise was very loud, very strange. We started heading over. It was a ridge going up. And as we got up to the top and we looked down into it, was a valley area, we saw what looked like a large, maybe hooded man or very hairy naked man, if you will. But what I knew was a Sasquatch, and the 2 guys next to me, you know, they'd never seen anything like it, and it had something over its shoulder. I can't identify, what exactly it was. It was too far. But I'm pretty sure of what I saw. But what I believe was over the shoulder of this creature. But we went after it. We ran. And we tracked as best we could, and we brought dogs up after we had a sighting, and we didn't find anything, and this little boy's still missing, so, maybe prayers go out, just say, I can't give names, of course, but, just something maybe for the family.
Yeah, that's that. Oh my goodness, that'd be so unbelievable to even comprehend what that would be like. Did the parents suggest that what it was? You think that they not suggest, but do you think that they have an idea of what happened?
Again, with the open case, I can't give all the information that they provided. I can say that they did report smelling something very, very, very bad, rancid. They're not an outdoors family, so they're not real familiar with wildlife, but they said it just smelled like rotten meat and garbage, and that's the best description they could give of the smell. And they said they smelt it for about 20 minutes of their hike, and then he disappeared, and then they didn't smell it anymore.
Right.
And they searched by themselves, and they couldn't find it, and then they called in, for help. And we went in as quickly as we could, and, I hate that I couldn't help. That it keeps me up nights that I could not, help, and I couldn't save somebody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know that there's no way you can track them. I mean, they can run off with your cattle. So, yeah, that's horrible. That's the one good reason why disclosure would be good. That's the reason why kind of, it's like screw the economy. If it was your kid that came up missing, then, who cares if the national parks don't make money anymore? Who cares if the logging industries and price of lumber would go up and stock market would have some issues for a little while? Get some adjusting going on, and if the hillbillies want to go out in the woods and try to kill one, if it was your child, then disclosure would certainly be something very important. And
agree on that.
I think people need to be very aware. I think the 411 books are something that everybody that wants to go camping should read. Because I think that carrying like maybe bear mace, certain colors you don't want to wear. Don't let your kid walk in last in the line, because it tends to be the last one in the line walking that comes up missing. The kid should be between adults if you're walking a path, hiking, things like that. And, the biggest adult male should be at the end of the line. I think they would be a little more reluctant to try to do that. Certain colors, I think, are like the hunter orange and stuff like that. Hunters wear that, and that's one of the worst colors that come up missing.
Yeah.
It's like
amazing with that. Yes.
Don't wear hunter orange, and I mean, just statistically, what Pilates found, that would be good information to at least be aware of, because I think you could do things to avoid these type of things happening, large groups and things like that. And like I said, I won't go out. I would not go to the north end of LBL, Land Between the Lakes, and camp by myself. No way. Ain't no way I would do it. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that. I don't care what kind of gun you give me. Yeah, so yeah, it's horrible, man. All the there's a lot of believers watch this show, that's for sure. And I would recommend that they pray for not only the family but for yourself, so that you could maybe get some closure in your mind. But that wasn't nothing you could do. You sharing right now is all that you could do at this point because your kids depend on you to make a living too. So, going too far other than what you're doing would be irresponsible to your own children's, um, you know, providing and what have you for your kids. So you owe it to your children to have a job and sharing your information that you're doing now. That this kind of stuff helps people when they hear these kind of stories. All right.
Yeah, that's my goal. I have a few before I get to my last encounter. Just a few little advices for listeners. Even if you guys don't believe that Sasquatch is real or these creatures that people report in the wild are not real, it never hurts to take precautions like he said for bear mace, stuff like that. Just something like that could be the difference between making it and not making it, or saving a child and not saving a child. And always keep your eyes open, but keep your ears open too, because you're usually going to hear something before you see it out in the woods, especially if you're not experienced. I consider I've been trained by the best military in the world, but, that's just me being a diehard American. But with my training and experience, there's places I will not go out in the wilderness by myself ever again. And it's just good to take a little, even if you don't believe the story, take a little bit of grain of salt and just keep it in the back of your head when you go out. And that would be the best thing. And always keep an eye on your children. Do not let them run off when you're out in the woods. That's the worst thing you can do. Do not let them get far from you, and never let them get where you cannot see them.
Right. And if you're hiking, make sure the children are in between the adults on the hiking trail, and the biggest male should be at the back. And because they're not going to come at you head on, they're going to pick off the last one, kind of thing. And
yeah,
and
tight groups is very important.
They might pick the biggest male off, but that would be less likely for them to go after the biggest guy. I think they're opportunists, and the little wandering kid is an opportunity that's too easy. If they're wanting to something for dinner, and there's other things too. I could say don't go out in the woods and do tree knocking and whistling and things like that, because you don't know what you're saying. Some people say the tree knocking is something they do when they're hunting, so that might be a dinner bell.
Yeah, I agree. Some people that I've met they say they're Bigfoot hunters. They go out and at night do tree knocking and whistling, and I tell them that's not wise. If this is the way these things communicate, you don't know what you're saying, or what these creatures are taking what you're doing as either come here or an aggression. So it's not wise to do something when you don't know exactly what you're doing or what it means to an animal.
Right. Yeah. And I tell you, the typical siren call that you hear, that starts out and it goes real high pitch and it kind of wanes off a little bit. According to the Bigfoot outlaw guys, he said that's an alpha male call, and you could very easily make an alpha male come after you to say, oh no, you're not going to come into my territory claiming you're the alpha male. He had an experience that was pretty interesting on accident with a call like that, and so anyway, that's Bigfoot outlaw guys are just awesome to listen to. I like listening to them. They're very knowledgeable.
Yeah, I've done. Since my experiences, I've reached out to a lot of different sites and information. Some I have a hard time believing, others, I'm like, okay, I can understand, and this is probably an accurate account. But there's a lot of people out there that do know what they're doing and have had encounters and know some good information to go by. So thank God for the internet.
Yeah, amen.
My last encounter was actually, I'd probably say was my best encounter as far as no aggression. And I probably got very lucky that there was no aggression. Again, this was at work. This was just before dusk. I was working the night shift. I was out checking on campers, and because there was some coyote reports that the campers were saying there was a lot of coyotes coming through. There was a camper that he went by himself way out off the trail, just took his pack and his gear, and he went by himself way off trail, way back into the woods, and they could only give me a vague direction. And me and my partner, he's always with me, we headed out that way, and I gotta say, we probably hiked back in there maybe 3.5, 4 miles, and I didn't see nobody. I couldn't find any tracks. I didn't believe that they gave me the right directions, because I can usually track people out there very well, unless he didn't want to be found, of course. Then it's a little harder, but didn't find anything. But my partner started again. He started whimpering. He started pulling the other way. I didn't see anything at first, and I waited because with my experience before with aggression, I didn't want this thing to be seeing me alone just with a dog and think that I was going to be easy takedown. So I waited, and it wasn't but maybe 30 yards to the left of me, I looked, and I'd probably say it was maybe a young female. It was the smallest one I've ever seen, maybe 5 foot, maybe 6 from that distance, stepped out behind a bunch of fallen trees and bushes, and it looked at me, and it almost, I would go with a curious. It kind of tilted its head and looked at me like, "What are you?" type of a thing. And I was shocked to see one so small, so young, but at the same time, I'm thinking, if this is young, where's parents, and am I in danger because I'm so close to their young? And not but maybe a few minutes later, a large, definitely female, came from the other direction, and I believe it was just a chance encounter that it was looking for its young. It saw me, saw that I was almost, if I was, further up, I would have been directly between her and her young, and that would have been very bad, but I was far enough back, I guess, where it didn't take me as a danger, I guess, or maybe the Lord was just watching me, not sure, or a combination of that, but she made maybe like a ticking sound, I guess you'd say, with some different grunts, and the little one took off running towards her, and they both took off running in the opposite direction from me. But there was no aggression. It didn't try to, threaten me. There was nothing done that was an aggression, so I was surprised, and that was actually a decent encounter.
That's interesting. So it made like clicking, like that, and it with kind of grunts with the clicking or ticking sound.
Almost, yeah. I couldn't ever attempt to. I wouldn't even attempt to make the sounds they make. I couldn't hit those pitches or that noise. So, but something, in that vocal range probably is about as close as we can get.
Yeah.
But I was just shocked that there was no aggression, because usually young, you definitely have to worry with when there's young and any animal out there, or even with us, we're very protective of our young, but maybe because it was such a shock that I was there, and it was just maybe the shock of all of a sudden there was a human there, and it was just wanting to get their young and go, that I didn't have any issue. But it was definitely interesting to see a young one with an adult female, and no aggression. That was very interesting to me. I had my GoPro with me that day. I do have video of that, some of it, but Again, I'm not ready to give that out, but it was the last one, the encounter I had, and that was probably only about a month ago.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I think maybe when they come around campgrounds, they expect that there might be humans. You know, they don't have TVs and iPads and, you know, and cell phones. And I think that sometimes especially the younger ones, like to kind of watch these weird humans, you know. You know,
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
I mean, yeah, it just seems that way because a lot of times we see them when they're looking at us. You know, I think they come near sometimes and they're just curious, and you know, it's like either go out in the woods and look at some trees, or let's go look at them crazy looking humans that are camping, and maybe we can get an opportunity to grab some of their food. I've had them take.
Exactly. And I've learned after, before my calves went missing, I had a freezer next to my shop. It was on the outside, and I kept some meat in there, and I also kept my chew cans in there. I'd put a couple rolls of my chew in there, and the meat and my chew came up missing a few times, and I thought somebody was coming on my land and just taking my meat and my chew. And when that freezer was empty, it's when actually my first calf went missing. And after that, I don't keep a freezer outside. It's in the shop. It's dead bolted in the shop as well. And my shop is everything's dead bolted. It's going to have to, really tear its way in there. I don't have any windows in my shop, so. But I definitely don't keep anything out. No meat, no freezers outside, and all my garbage is and bear-proof garbage cans, and they're all taken to the end of my drive every day. I don't keep any garbage or anything. You never want to feed wildlife in the first place, but you definitely don't want to tempt them also with any sense.
Yeah, that I was thinking that, I didn't want to start getting into that topic because it can end up going for 30 minutes. But I was kind of wondering maybe if that was the deal that happened with your neighbor. And when he bought the house, several people have had these problems, but it might have started with someone feeding, or maybe even on accident, and
yeah, that could have been it. I don't know for sure, but that definitely could have been it.
I know that sometimes when those kind of things happen, where they're coming to the house and they're doing that kind of thing consistently, and it's hard, they can't get it to stop it. Most of the time it comes down to something having to do with food.
I do know of, sadly, an older couple that say they have seen them and they actually do leave food out, and I've repeatedly told them you don't never feed wildlife at all, but they're continuing to do it. Hopefully nothing ever happens to them. They said they've been feeding this group for over a year now, but I don't know what will happen if they don't put something out. But yeah, I agree that's a very bad idea. And last little bit, also, if you go out to national parks and areas and you camping grounds and they say no dogs allowed on a trail, it might be a good area to stay away from, because I believe that some areas that know that there's something out there and dogs sense it, I believe they say no dogs for that pure fact that people are going to freak out when their dog freaks out and they're not going to come back. So I would keep that in mind as well.
Right. Well, thank you, JT, for sharing, and everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story from JT. If anyone has a story that they would like to share, you can email me at brentonson@gmail.com, and you can contribute by going to the PayPal link, PayPal me, in the description. I appreciate every contribution that I get. See you all on the next video. God bless. Bye.